Links join channel here over at SubStars right now over at Odyssey. I have a mailbox. You want to mail me a comic or something you want me to read. So did Trump destroy Dragon Age? This, Trump's going to be to blame, and rightfully so, for destroying a lot of movies and games in the future because they're going to be insufferably woke and cringe. And you look at these people like this. Listen, the current environment doesn't really support the things you're making. Why did you make this? And the real answer is just going to be Trump derangement syndrome, but 2.0. All the people who, like all the there's a whole new cycle of younger people who kind of grew up under Trump 1.0, and they had this teachers and their parents, their insane liberal parents, giving them this straw man version of what a nightmare he was, and it's like they never looked into it and like actually tried to compare how things were. It's like, oh, it was just pretty much business as usual. Things were just fine. And so now they go, oh well, this is our turn to go riot and burn down whatever they can burn down because we're fighting this existential threat. It's like 4 more years of this, it's just going to be exhausting. So Trump destroyed Dragon Age. This is the pronoun lecture game. Yeah, believe it or not. This is one where she gives some kind of lecture to us on pronouns, and it goes on for 2 minutes, and then she does push-ups to apologize for using the biologically correct pronouns and not playing along with whoever's bizarre fantasy. If you want to know how out of touch SJWs are, you can take a look at this game as an example. It's and a lot of games that are going to come in the next few months and movies and whatnot. It's why they were so surprised that Trump won, because in their head canon, all this nonsense is real to them because they trust the media, government, and they very much trust those other big farming companies. They got on board with that. It's like, oh, Trump's in office. They're probably going to bring that back again. Get ready for some new gift from overseas. So they're watching CNN and MSM, and it's almost all pro Kamala with anti-Trump strawman arguments, where Trump was on the alt media and social media, Joe Rogan's and that kind of thing. But the left assumes that everything they're getting from CNN is, well, it's just totally honest and unbiased. And that it's just inconceivable that after everything these lying parasitical medias was reporting on Trump, like to see adults, Jimmy Kimmel and Maddow on MSNBC, cry. They're talking about just some milquetoast president. It's like, you're crying on stage, but he was in office from 2016 to 2020. We were all here for that. There was no like lake of fire or portal to the other dimension where his demons swept in. It's like you seem to forget, like we're all here and we can objectively look at numbers and factors and like consumer price index and all kinds of things for that 4-year period. And they have this in their head. It's like, oh, well, okay, but now it's really going to get bad. It's because we elected the dictator twice. Yeah, so you elected him. We elected him one time, and then he, elected somebody else. So that the dictator stepped down. The totalitarian, he stepped down, and then we elected the dictator again. I mean, does that make sense? It does in their mind, because they'll do anything to be the center of attention, and these next 4 years are going to be them. Just insufferable. The blue hair is going to make a comeback. It's going to be, a lot of it's going to be like 2016 again. And the funny thing is the puppet masters, the real lizards at the top, they know that Trump is just a moderate, but the useful idiots don't know that. That's why they're sitting in their cars losing their freaking minds and screaming and raging. And but you don't see the people at the top worried. In fact, I'm sure some of them actually wanted Trump in office because things were getting a little too stable too soon. Anyway, it's just it's inconceivable, these people, that after everything the lying media reported on Trump, that none of us believed, or even a lying justice system, it would be an easy win, because after all, Trump is a felon criminal in their minds. Except, like, everyone not on the left understands that the conviction doesn't mean anything. It's just a way to interfere with the election. I didn't pay any attention to that because I know it wasn't real. It's like, yeah, I knew they were going to find him guilty for whatever they could, but it's like, is he guilty? We'll never know, because the justice system is corrupt. We know the deep state justice system is like, are you going to get a fair trial from a Soros-appointed district attorney? Probably not. Or with Daniel Penny right now. And CNN and MSNBC are just like, they're just the puppets, the Waldos for these string pullers. So the one thing that should two things should really awaken them is the watch time numbers for MSNBC on election night a couple nights ago. They were way down for all the mainstream media channels that people used to go to because and in the left wing's mind they go, oh, people must be tuning out of the election. And the other thing they should pay attention to is the missing 20 million votes that they think, oh, there must be fraud this year, or what's the other Occam's razor possibility? What happened was no people, yeah, people tuned out of the mainstream media, but the audience wasn't not interested in probably the most interesting election since the one 8 years ago. They just went to YouTube, Rumble, Odyssey, and Twitter. Twitter now is becoming the new. Eventually, it's going to be the premier live streaming platform. So the day of the transition from mainstream media to social media, I thought was going to happen in 2028, but it actually happened in this election. And in 4 years, the ratio is going to be even worse for the dinosaur media. But what I think is going to happen is that the media that is shrinking and losing billions of dollars is not going to go down without a fight. And the funny thing is, they can't be more interesting or honest and unbiased. That's not going to happen. They can't improve. It's like looking at these games and these movies and these comics and go, oh, why don't you guys just, like, the audience is telling you what they want. They don't want these preachy left-wing politics. They just want classic storytelling. Why don't you just give the audience what they want? And they look at you like you have two heads or something. Like what you're saying is just, it's the ravings of a madman, because they're not going to do that. That's not why they're in Hollywood or movies or games. They're in there to push propaganda. But what they can do, instead of simply improving, is they can try to attack the competition, all the alternative platforms. And we're seeing some of this go down on Odyssey now with payment issues. Odyssey is demonetizing some channels, which is like suspicious with this election. And when you're a billion-dollar media, well, the industry itself is probably in the trillions, right? You have a lot of pull with politicians. And if they can make things difficult for alt platforms and social media, that allows, I was going to say right of center viewpoints for sure, but also just like most of us look at these things and go, normal viewpoints. They will. I mean, they look at, like I'm always looking at YouTube now because he got elected, and I didn't think he would. I thought they were going to give it to Kamala, but now I look at the Phantom Menace and the Comicsgate, and there's like 100 channels loosely associated with that, and I'm kind of wondering what YouTube is going to do with that, because what they did after 2016 was they got rid of thousands of channels. That's why they've been pushing the concept of disinformation, and they even tried to install Nina Jankowicz in the Ministry of Truth, which you would think would be some kind of dystopian future novel written in the 40s or 50s about this happening. And you go, no, it all actually happened. I mean, they tried, because what the media and government are saying is that they have the truth, and they'll let you know what is true and false. It just so happens that anything left of center is going to be complicated, and right of center will be misinformation. If you read those like Snopes type of websites, and you go, there's like a half dozen of these Snope type of websites. They call them, in quotes, air quotes, fact checkers, right? And you go, it's clearly biased. I mean, it's like overwhelmingly biased. This is ridiculous that anyone would point to something like Snopes. And to be fair, people kind of stop pointing to those fact checkers because it's just too absurd. But the thing is, they completely lack self-awareness. They take themselves seriously and assume that everyone else does. It's a mystery to them why the mainstream media is dying and being replaced by the alt media and social media platforms, because they feel that they should be the only ones to tell you that the news, what the news is, and make up your mind for you, when the mainstream media and government is a source of information. They go, oh, just forget about them lying for the past, well, forever. So anyway, the blue-haired people who make these video games, and in this case they literally are deep in the echo chamber, and they block anyone who disagrees with them, and all their friends believe in all this kind of imaginary pronoun nonsense and whatever else, giving their kids drugs, and they think that anyone who disagrees with it, who thinks it's the nonsense that it rightfully is, well, those are just Hugo Boss, Roman saluting, Mauser carrying, and those people don't count. They're just like invalid in their mind. You go, anyone who has an ability to pay you as a customer, and any other condition you put on them is really irrelevant to the business's bottom line. Like, I understand that you might have moral issues, but make sure the moral issues are accurate, not some insane straw man. Again, they look at you like, well, you're the crazy one. Anyway, so with this story, there are early rumors that the game is underperforming, and based on what I've seen with the game, the odds are it's going to bomb, and we can cheer for that. And somehow they'll blame the Orange Cheeto and his fascist followers who are concerned with video games, because naturally that makes sense. Trump getting elected sort of tells you how tired people are of woke. They elected him, even though Kamala had the entire mainstream media shilling for her and her ridiculous changing accents. I think you can probably see it on YouTube unless they took down those videos. And anyway, their campaign is missing $20 million, so that'll be interesting. And Elon Musk helping Trump in the campaign has triggered them to no end. They don't appreciate an African American helping out. So this game is going to fail, as well as whatever new woke game is up on the horizon. Games or movies or streaming shows, you're going to see a bloodbath, as what sounds crazy will happen. The woke crowd are going to accelerate and double down, including to the point of destroying their own companies. That's the only thing that will stop them, because this is a religion to them, and their stuff was failing under Biden, but they think Trump is, I almost said the devil himself, but the left is kind of anti-theist. So really things are kind of the inverse for them. They have this mixed up straw man world where Trump is the Austrian corporal and some sort of demon, because in their vague understanding of religion, they assume that the angels are all trans and Christ was just some cool hippie dude in a van. While he did hang out with prostitutes and lepers and whatnot, they had been saved. He was also turning over tables of those who were evil. I keep thinking of the next 4 years, and it's kind of exhausting, because the left are going to be the accelerationists in response to the Orange Cthulhu nightmare in their minds. It's going to be 4 years of them thinking that they're storming the beaches and patting themselves on the back over every stupid protest where they burn a small business and destroy their own towns to own the capitalists. Hey, we're burning down buildings of some small insurance company. Yeah, there were people in them. A black guy. Oh, well, that's the price you got to pay for a better world. But you didn't improve anything. You just made things worse over the past 4 years. I mean, the deletion rate actually went up by like 20,000 people. Well, and that's as far as it goes, because you're dealing with sociopaths. And the games and movies are going to reflect all this, all their mental illness. It's going to be insufferable. But the upside is it would be good for the right of center on social media. But the big assumption is that YouTube allows all those channels to stay. And they might just clean house like they did from about 2016 to 2018. They saw that these channels had helped a president get elected, but it was the wrong president. If you're on YouTube and you help, left-wing someone get elected, that's A-okay. But populism for the wrong party is just going to get you kicked off social media. So then the right goes to Rumble and Odyssey, and probably a bunch of new live streaming platforms will spring up. So the left will be on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and each side will just be an echo chamber and probably pretty dull. Because, that's what makes it interesting, is the back and forth between people. You're thinking that these pop culture companies are going to dial things down because they're swimming in red ink, and you'd be wrong. This is a religious war, and most true believers are willing to fight to the death. You're going to see the worst straw man movies and games about MAGA guys, all blonde and red hats, chasing down trans Mexicans and converting them to some, super base Catholicism, and then after saving their souls, burning them at the stake, because these people are insane. All the BLM and Antifa kids were probably pretty bored the last 4 years, because they couldn't really go too crazy under Biden because it's kind of an own goal. And they're excited about having more stupid, pointless riots over the next Jussie Smollett hoax. You're going to see pop culture bringing back people in white sheets, and every other movie is going to be Hugo Boss as the bad guys. It's going to be cringe beyond cringe. Anyway, keep crapping on all these woke movies and games. And that's the other thing I wanted to mention. I checked the Twitter on this, and the SJW kids are losing their minds over people talking about the potential failure of a video game. And it's a weird look. It's kind of like PMS, where something sets her off and the response is just way out of proportion. you see these SJWs personally attack the game reviewer because attacking Dragon Age is attacking their religion. It's why diversity in comics made them so angry to the point of wanting to actually delete the person who was making sitting in a car making comic videos. So it puts these commie kids in the position of defending the billion-dollar corporate horror companies, and they probably feel stupid doing it, but they have to own the Chad incel Nazis. In this case, it's a Mexican game reviewer, and like they don't have to say about that. Who are all they're looking at is saying, yeah, this game is stupid, but they don't say what they liked about the game because they didn't play it, which is usually the case with woke games and movies because all these things cost money, and when it comes down, that's like the line in the sand for a lot of the woke. It's, oh, so did you pay the $17 and go watch some woke movie? And they just don't do it, and the numbers reflect that because ultimately it's not just $17 because they probably would pay it to Virtue Signal, but it's okay, well, you got to get out of your house, you got to go sit in a theater and be bored for 90 minutes or 2 hours. And that's the totality. It's like, oh, they don't really want to do that. Maybe someone else will do it for you. But hey, so the woke movie bombed. Yeah, it's somehow it's the right wing's fault who yeah, we're not going to go see a gay movie in the first place. That's up to the left, and those movies bomb. So think of the dumbest movie vagina race swapped remake you can make, and that's where Hollywood is going. The race and sex swapped. Anything you can think of, from Fast and Furious to Fight Club, probably the next Star Wars, which is going to be a trilogy and not just a one-off, with Daisy Ridley, which is probably going to destroy Disney's reputation and lose them $500 million. And the reputational harm is going to be even more costly than the loss of the movie. Trump being in office is going to cause a temporary resurgence in a bounce back from these people, because they might, for like a month, they might support some new woke POC vagina blonde man bad movies, but that's it, because at this point even the left is tired of the left. You're going to see the Handmaid's Tale type of nonsense for the next 4 years, which is, I haven't seen the movie or read the book. I guess it was written in 1985. I was reading about the book, which is some kind of Christian, I think, takeoff. And you go, oh, okay, it's a current year. Yeah, it's not the Christians that are the issue with women's rights. It's actually this other group. Would you like to, so the Handmaid's Tale, they dress like in a red cloak and a white, some kind of weird white hat, like, from a 1950s movie. So that's, you're associating that with Christianity and repression of women's rights, telling them what to wear. There's actually another costume that they wear, like actually right now, to this day. In fact, there's fairly often protests in another part of the world, but it's not in America where Christians are telling people what to wear. It's actually another branch of this Abrahamic religion, and it's about 10,000 miles away. Warm, sandy place, mode of transportation, it has a hump or two. You want to maybe have some verisimilitude and get rid of the red, essentially red, I don't know if I can say the word, red, we'll just say red cloaks for now, and maybe make them a darker color that actually matches what's really going on with repression of women's rights. Nazi says what? Yeah, you're going after Christianity in the lamest straw man imaginable, because it's the only thing you're allowed to criticize. It's so... I remember Norm Macdonald was sitting he was like doing some show where he was reviewing comics, and this comic got up stage and went after Christianity again. And like Norm Macdonald was saying, like, this has been played out. Like, there's two other main religions you can go after that obviously you're scared to death to touch. It's like going after Christians is just not funny anymore. And it's not. You see this all the time. It's why stand-up comedy is dead, and why, unless you're going to find someone who's going way against the grain. Like, who's that girl? Leonardo Jones or something. She has some weird first name. It looks like Leonard. I don't know how to pronounce it. And then Chrissy Mayer, but I think she just had a kid. She's not doing a whole lot of stand-up. Will go against the grain and do politically incorrect comedy, which is like, that's the only comedy that's going to survive. It's like, you just be offensive right from the start. I could write a movie about MAGA blonde death squads marching around, opening up like secret plantations and Soylent Green factories where gangs of blonde men struggle snuggle any POCs that move, probably children, when they're not being overseers at the cotton farm. And the left would just eat it up and take it seriously. Like, this is what these MAGA people really want to do. Like, yeah, half the country is non-white now. So, like, how is that even a possibility? But they take it seriously because they're NPCs who think that they're the main player. You're going to get thousands of these TikTok videos of a 24-year-old vagina type of idiot sitting in a car talking in her camera telling everyone why they're stupid for rejecting gay race communism, and their college professor, millionaire and multi-millionaire Bernie Sanders are right, and plus Bill Gates and Mark Cuban and all the other billionaires who are on their side. And the 24-year-old really knows the way of the world, and everyone else is wrong, and you should listen to her, even though she doesn't have kids, or doesn't run a business, is not responsible for anyone. They never stop to ponder the idea that wealthy people seem to be pushing something that would take their wealth away. Soros thinks Rothschild, Schwab types, or that the 20-year-old selling coffee might be the useful idiot in that relationship, where you've got a juxtaposition between someone with much more sophistication, inequality and bargaining positions type of thing, being manipulated by these Machiavellian fomenters of discord who hand them the rifle and then disappear, quote Axl Rose. No, these billionaires and millionaires they're actually altruistic, and they secretly hate the wealth that they have, and they actually want to destroy the system, except you have to do it for them, start the fire, miss the firefight. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. I honestly don't know if I can take 4 more years of YouTube cringe farming, so hopefully YouTube will start nuking channels again. That'd be the best for everyone. Everyone, like, if they just nuked everyone, who's vaguely on this side of pop culture, and then YouTube would just be left with like the Destiny types for the left-wing pundits, and then girls with big boobs unboxing videos or putting on makeup tutorials, and just like the stupidest stuff. But that kind of clickbait goes a long way. But then it would be good for everyone who's just a normie, because they go to Rumble and Odyssey, and probably a bunch of other live streaming platforms would open up as well. Probably Twitter is going to be the next big thing if they figure that out. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys all next episode.